Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Rock from the GMS Atlanta Church, back with another lesson through the Spirit, Lord willing to be edifying. Giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles at GMS who continue to teach and rule well, and who taught me this truth, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. I want to say double honors, and also, shalom to the Akim across the four corners of the earth that are pushing out this truth and sincerity, and putting their life on the line to do so, in all truth and sincerity. To you brothers, I say shalom. All right, so I got another lesson, Lord willing to be edifying. I'm going to basically go into the word discriminate, man. I looked up discriminate on the online etymology, and it has a very heavy meaning. Okay, in New English, in today's, a lot of words now in days that had, heavier meanings, before, has lost some of its weight or value, or has changed, in meaning over the times of new age way of speaking, should I say. So when you go to the online etymology of the word discriminate, it says distinguish from something else or from each other. Observe or mark the difference between. Okay. And I'm going to go into, the scriptures, man, and link up perfectly. The Lord is going to mark or discriminate, his desirables from his undesirables. Okay. Those that are doing the will of the Lord, sighing and crying for the abominations of this place, and trying to keep his law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. They're going to be discriminated, from the rest of the people, man. When the Lord comes back, to judge this place, it says to observe or mark the difference between. Okay, because the Lord is dealing with an elect group of men and the 1/3, and we're going to be marked and set aside from these 2/3. Yeah, Salakia. And yeah, as the scriptures say, 2/3 of our people shall be cut off and die. Okay, they won't be discriminated. Okay, which is a mark or exempt the judgment. Okay. Some and though they will be marked, but it won't be the mark that I'm going into, which means exempt the judgment. Okay, so it says distinguish from something else or from each other, observe or mark the difference between, to divide or to separate, to set apart, to distinguish, to perceive, to sift. To sift, man. Discriminate. All right, the Lord, is sifting the house of Israel, man, and getting his desirables out, from the undesirables. Okay, man, that's heavy. It says to separate or to sift. Okay, so let's get this simple Google search of the word discriminate. It says to recognize or distinction or differentiate. And some of the synonyms are differentiate, distinguish, to draw, to recognize, to tell the difference, to discern a difference, to separate, tell apart, separate the sheep from the goat, separate the wheat from the chaff. Hey, and that's strictly biblical, man. Matthew 13, the parable of the wheat and the tare. Okay. This is Ezekiel 9:4. It says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for the abominations that are done in the midst thereof. Okay, and who's basically on the face of the earth today, that are sighing and crying for the abominations of this world, man. All the filthy conversations that are going on in this place. Who's mainly calling them out for it, man? Great Millstone, starting with our Apostle Tahar on down. Okay, we're the ones sighing and crying for the abominations of this place, man. All right, everybody else is just in the kumbaya and agree to disagree and to get along spirit, man, or turning the other cheek or turning the blind eye to certain things, man. No, we calling it out, man, from homosexuality to going off on the dietary law, so on and so forth, man. We're the only ones that are calling this place out for what it really is, man, on this wickedness, man, which is at an all-time high. And something has to be done, to this place when the Lord's going to come back to set his judgment, man, and separate, the desirables from the undesirables. So yeah, man, and let's go into that word mark used here in Ezekiel 9:4. To set a mark. It says desire to mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. Woo, that's that discrimination, man. Going back to the word discrimination or to discriminate. All right, to extract or mark, man. The difference between the two. All right, and we're doing everything in our power, man, to be a part of that sifting or that discrimination, man. So we can get the hell up out of this place, man, and not be judged, with the chaff, man, or the tares. We want to be separated from that crowd and be exempt from judgment. Okay. Reading on, it says, and the others, he said, in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon him not near any man upon whom is the mark. All right, which I just went into that word, exempt from judgment. All right, exempt from the plagues that are going to hit this place, the pestilence, the famine, the missiles, the chariots, shooting their laser beams. You're gonna be exempt from that judgment. All right, but you have to do what the Lord commands you, man. Sigh and cry for the abominations in the midst thereof, man. Not just be in the spirit of just going with whatever folly and bullshit that this place has to offer. All right, you're not calling it out, and just got them basically being joined into this place. Matter of fact, was there any more in this? It says, then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, and let's see, what happens when you're joined unto this devil, and in that, well, it ain't bothering me, so I'm gonna leave it alone. If you in that spirit, man, you're part of the problem. This is Isaiah chapter 13 and verse. I'll start at I'll start at 14. This is Isaiah 13 and 14. And it shall be as the chased roe and as sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn into his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. Verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Okay, so if you're not sighing and crying for the abominations in the midst thereof, then you're part of the problem. You've accepted, this way of living. You've accepted the philosophies and the customs of Esau Edom, which is the so-called white man. You're not speaking out on it. You're not calling out and crying to the Lord, because you got to walk around and see homosexuals. You got to walk around seeing transgenders. You got to smell the aroma of pork coming from every goddamn kitchen. and just the smell of cigarettes seeping through your goddamn coworkers' pores. You become totally accustomed and fine with that, man. And you're part of the problem. It says everyone that is found shall be thrust through and shall fall by the sword. Okay. So yeah, man, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakodash. I want to say Shalom.